It's a delight to be with you, and in the interest of keeping on schedule, I'll try and be brief. I really appreciate and am extremely impressed that we have this many folks energized around this topic, because one of the things you're going to see here in just a few minutes is an ambitious agenda for the state of Georgia, an ambitious agenda about completion, an ambitious agenda about reaching out to our public, perhaps in some accelerated ways and strengthened ways than we have before. And there is no way that we can accomplish any of these goals without turning our attention to the adult market. And I know that in many ways I'm preaching to the choir here, that many of you, feel that way, and this is in many ways your life work is working with this particular population. But I think it's going to become front and center. I talk about all the time, adult degree completion can't just be about a program. It's got to be about a public policy commitment to that, and all of the infrastructure of higher education and the workforce, pulling in that direction. One of the things we're really concerned about this completion agenda just because of the sheer fact that all of the national research points to the fact that over the coming decade or so, we're really going to be rapidly evolving into a period where it's going to be difficult for you to find a place for yourself, not only in the economy, but especially for a career. Not just finding a job, but to be able to lay the groundwork for a career if you do not have some form of post-secondary education. And I don't stand before you saying that needs to be a bachelor's degree, although that certainly is something we want to push folks to. But some form of post-secondary education is going to be critical, because the U.S. has really lost its distinct advantage over many other countries. If you go back about 40 years ago, and one easy way to do this is to isolate on where our population aged 55 and up sits in terms of their educational attainment level and compare that to other countries, you find a very comparable statistic. Actually, the U.S. is not bested by a single country when you just isolate on that age demographic. When you consider the entire population, though, you see here that Korea, Canada, and Japan, in terms of an associate degree or above, are far outpacing the United States and well ahead of many other countries. We've come from first in the world just 30, 40 years ago to being more like 15th, 16th on many measures of educational attainment. Certainly a huge challenge, and it's frustrating to think where our 25 to 34-year-old set is and what are they looking at in terms of the coming years. So you're going to hear a lot in Complete College America and Complete College Georgia, particularly about what are we doing to impact that statistic, what are we doing to change aspirations, what are we doing to perhaps re-engage with that population. It's been said that as we look forward, that 90% of the jobs needing a post-secondary education. If that is true, then Georgia's future is absolutely positively hooked to what we do as a system. I think that's a great thing for us to seize. In this day and time where a lot of people are questioning the role of state government, what should state government be investing in as opposed to spending money on, there's a difference between expenditures and investments, we need to step up and raise our hand and say, yeah, we want to take on that we are critical to the next 50 years of the state of Georgia. We want to be a centerpiece in there. But a key thing, as I said earlier, is we can't just target that emerging workforce, those students that are coming through the educational pipeline and coming to our campuses for their training, their education, they're laying the groundwork for their careers. We have to turn our attention to the existing workforce as well. One of the things that comes out in Tony Carnevale's research, and that's sort of behind, he's an economist that's based out of the Georgetown Center for Economic Development, and he's done a lot of the demographic and economic forecasting for the Complete College America initiative, is if you go back to 1973, and I will not ask for a show of hands as to who graduated in 1973, but if you were graduating from high school in 1973, you as a high school graduate or your buddy that was a high school dropout were eligible for 75% of the jobs that were available in the United States. 3 out of 4 jobs you were okay for. Anybody that was going on to do post-secondary, they were kind of fighting for just a small piece of the pie in terms of total jobs. You fast forward to the projections for 2018, and that's really the anchoring point off of what many of the Complete College America Initiative statistics are. We are rapidly moving forward to the statistic for the United States on that is 68% of the jobs are going to require a post-secondary degree. Georgia's statistic is closer to 60% in that forecasting. Either way, go with 60, go with 68%. That's a far cry from 25% in 1973. That's a scary proposition for a decision-making infrastructure, elected officials, key policy officials, many of whom may have graduated during that time period, and their view of the world is, well, that a post-secondary education is a luxury. It's not a must. We've gone way beyond being able to be a should statement. We are now in the must statement sort of category. So taking this agenda seriously and really understanding that it's a sea change in terms of what's expected of the educational pipeline certainly is a challenge. And as I was preparing for today, I was just isolating. If you look at Georgia, age 65 and up, the associate degree and above, that statistic is about 23%. Again, the challenge of looking at 40 years back and the type of alignment that we had with the workforce challenges at that point, we are way out of whack now where that alignment would call for more like 60% of the 25 to 34-year-olds. I think it's safe to say that the recession certainly has accelerated all of this change. Many of the challenges that we were already experiencing, I think you go back 5, 6 years ago, higher education would say we're in a period of change. Well, we are on a bullet train of change at this point, and the challenges that are before us certainly are going to have you front and center, and the type of conversations that you're a part of here today are in many ways, I think if we fast forward 10 or 15 years, we'll look back and say, hey, I was there when. I was there when this policy was shaped. I was there when that important program, or at least the foundation for it, was launched. So we appreciate and we salute the work that you're doing, but as we launch off, and I'm going to turn it over to Lynn here to talk a little bit about what we're doing with Complete College Georgia, I can't stress enough, this is about economic, this is about social, this is about cultural, this is about the health development of the communities that you live in, that you serve, that you love. We're excited about higher education being front and center on this. We have a tremendous amount of assets to bring to the table. And first and foremost, we've got to make sure that, again, we make this adult degree completion conversation be more of a policy commitment rather than just an off program that exists certainly with success, but is maybe not central to the agenda. This is the public agenda as we move forward. Lynn, I'll turn it over to you to give the details.